So welcome again to our Cal State Apply workshop for fall 2022. I am Melissa Mayfield. I am the CSUB transfer specialist, and I'm joined on the call today with one of our transfer peer mentors, so Samantha Saldana, as well as our administrative coordinator, Monica Grimes. So we are here to assist you with the Cal State Apply application. We'll start out with the presentation and then we'll go into questions. So let me go ahead and begin sharing my screen. Are you able to see the presentation? Excellent. Okay. So if you haven't already, you want to go to this website, calstate.edu/apply. First and foremost, we want to make sure that you are eligible to transfer for fall 2022. You must have your 60 transferable units completed by the spring 2022 semester. You are not eligible to complete those 60 units in the summer. They must be done by the spring. Included in those units is going to be your golden 4 classes. So that's your oral communication, written communication, critical thinking, and college level mathematics course. All of those courses must be completed with a C- or better, and they must be done by the spring 2022 semester as well. You must be in good academic standing at the last institution that you have attended, and your overall transferable GPA must be a 2.0 or above. Briefly, we'll go through kind of the timeline because I know you guys apply between October and December, and it's kind of like, okay, well, what are my next steps? So the application opened October 1st. It will close December 15th. With the exception of nursing. Nursing applicants should be applying no later than November 30th because nursing is an impacted program. The next big deadline to look out for is turning in your transcripts. Transcripts will be due to the institution by February 11th. Students should not submit transcripts prior to their fall 2021 grades being posted. We want to see the grades that you got in fall 2021. So a good rule of thumb is when you come back from winter break, order your transcripts to be sent to CSUB. Even if you are taking classes in the spring, you need to submit transcripts by that February 11th deadline. We want to make sure, go get that college paid for. The financial aid application is actually open now. It opened October 1st as well. And the priority deadline is March 2nd. So whether you need to do the financial aid application or the DREAM Act application, you want to get that in by March 2nd. The next deadline is your intent to enroll. So once you have been offered provisional admission to the university, you would submit your intent to enroll. And what that is you're basically saying, yes, I'm coming to CSUB in the fall, and I want you to hold my spot. Registration for incoming transfer students will be on June 15th. And your final transcripts with all your grades and your degree posted is due by July 15th. So when you're filling out the application, there's some things that you should have readily available. You need to have your unofficial transcripts, and that's from each institution that you have attended. So if you have attended more than one institution, you want to make sure that you can access all of them. If you have test scores, meaning AP scores, CLEP scores, or IB scores, you want to make sure you have access to those as well. As transfer students, you do not need to put in SAT or ACT scores. You will need to know your annual income. That is to see if you qualify for the fee waiver, or if you're going to be a dependent applicant, you would need to know your parents' income. If you have a social security number, you want to make sure that you input it into the application. You will be asked your citizenship status, as well as your residency status to determine what you're qualified for in terms of out-of-state or in-state tuition. You will need to put in your campus ID number, so your ID number from your community college. And if you don't qualify for a fee waiver, you will need to have a method of payment. There is a $70 application fee for each application that you submit per campus. So once you go to the calstate.edu/apply and you select the fall 2022 term, you will be brought to this page. If you have already created an account, you will put in your username and password and sign in. Otherwise, you need to create an account. It's going to ask you some basic information for you to complete so that you can have an account. The one thing I would recommend is when you select the email address that you're going to use, make sure it's an email address that you commonly check. If it's not one that you use very often, that's not going to be the best choice, because this is going to be how you're communicated with the university. So please check or put an email address that you're going to check regularly. So the first screen that you're going to come across is your extended profile. Even if you have already created an account, it should generate you back to the extended profile section. Transfer students should be earning their first bachelor's degree. So you want to select that you are wanting to get your first bachelor's degree. And then the second question, it's asking you which describes your current educational status. As transfer students, you can either apply with an associate's degree for transfer. So that's an AAT or an AST. Please note that there is a difference between an associate's degree for transfer and just an Associates of Arts and an Associates of Science degree. If you are not familiar with what degree you will be earning, you should talk to your college community counselor and they'll be able to assist you with that. If you're not earning an associate's degree for transfer, you would be selecting that you're getting greater than or equal to 60 units. That is by the end of the spring semester. So maybe you don't have your 60 units yet, but as long as you're going to have your 60 units at the end of spring 2022, you want to make sure that you're selecting the greater than or equal to option. If you select less than 60 units, you will not see any programs for Cal State Bakersfield because we do not accept lower division transfers. Something that's new this year is students who have completed an old application have the opportunity to import that information into a new application. And so, and you also can select if you want to just start your application all over again, you can do that. But when you go and you select copy application data, it's going to default that it's going to bring in your colleges attended, your college coursework, and your GPA. If you want it to bring in additional information, you need to click on each one of these check boxes for it to bring that in. Now, once again, this is only for students who have filled out a Cal State Apply application previously. If you are brand new to completing an application, you would not see this page. So the next thing you're going to want to do is select a program. Now, since Bakersfield is at the top of the alphabet, we're at the top of the list. So you're going to see CSUB and you're going to see all the degrees that we are accepting applications in. They are in alphabetical order. And if you want to select multiple campuses and multiple programs, you are allowed to do that. You would just go to the particular CSU that you're looking for and click on their program. Sometimes students will encounter this message right here. And what this means is that you've indicated that you're earning an associate's degree for transfer, but the program that you're selecting is not a similar major. An example of that would be maybe you're earning an associate's degree for transfer in psychology. But when you come to CSUB, you want to do sociology. We allow students to transfer into an unsimilar major, but we still have this message acknowledging that you realize that it is not a similar major. So you would select yes, and it would allow you to move on in the application. So once you go to that, it's going to then take you to your dashboard. This is basically what all needs to be accomplished within your application so that you're ready to submit. You have 4 different quadrants. So personal information, academic history, supporting information, and program materials. Program materials at CSUB is usually just filled out automatically. We don't put information into program materials with the exception of nursing. So if you are applying to our nursing program, I believe there is like an acknowledgement statement that you acknowledge that you're going to have to submit a nursing application in addition to the Cal State Apply application. But all others should see that this one is automatically green, which means that it's satisfied. At any point in time, if you are on a section of the application and you want to get back to the dashboard, you just click on My Application and it'll take you back to the dashboard. The first quadrant is your personal information. So you're going to go through, your contact information, race and ethnicity, stuff like that. But some of the things that students get confused with, and I want to make sure that you're aware of this, is under the financial and parental information. You're going to go ahead and review these bullets right here. And if you can answer yes to any one of them, you're going to select this box that says one or more of these statements apply to me. If you cannot select yes to any one of these, you're going to say none of these statements apply. If none of the statements apply, you are considered a dependent applicant, and you will need to have your parents' income information in order to fill out this section. Otherwise, if you are able to select yes to one of these, then you are going to put in your information. Particularly down here at this section, it's asking you your adjusted gross income for the 2020 year. So that's the income that you pay taxes on, and you're going to put that into this box. The second box, and this is very important, it says untaxed income. So that would be if you collected money, maybe you had a side job, something of that nature, you would put what you got there. Most of us pay taxes on our income, so that second box should be 0. Please do not put the same amount as your adjusted gross income in your untaxed income. That's basically saying, for instance, if I made $25,000 in 2020 and I put $25,000 in the second one, that would mean that I collected $25,000 that I did not pay income taxes on. You don't want to do that. You should be putting a 0 in that second box. The other section that I want to make sure that we understand correctly is citizenship and residency information. Now, this is only collected to see if you qualify for in-state tuition or if you're going to have out-of-state tuition. So under U.S. citizenship status, you have U.S. citizen, permanent resident, none, refugee, or other visa. Any of our AB 540 students are going to want to select none. Now, that is different than the next question about residency. When we're talking about residency, it's where do you reside? Where is all your stuff at? Most of us reside in California. All of our stuff is in California. So you should be selecting yes, I claim California residency. The following question will then ask you, have you lived here since birth? If you select yes, then you'll save and continue. If you select no, it's going to ask you, when did you start living in California? Do the best that you can. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, we're looking for an approximate month and then the year. The next section I want to talk about is in colleges attended. That's in quadrant 3. When you're filling out this section and you start typing in the college that you've attended, it should populate in a drop down and you want to click on it. Please do not force the information in and manually type it. The system is preset to have the colleges in there, and you really want to be selecting the information that is populating in the drop-down menu. A question that's new this year is, what was your tuition status? Were you a resident or a non-resident? Most of our community college students are paying in-state tuition, so you want to make sure that you're selecting that. And then the last question is, what was the first semester that you started attending there? And then if you are no longer attending your community college, you would put in the last semester, or if you're still going to school there, you just want to check the box that says, I'm still attending. And the reason that this is important is when we get into the college coursework section, when you have to start inputting your transcript information, it's only going to allow you to put in the semesters that you indicated that were on here. You do want to indicate every college that you have attended. Even if you transferred information from one college to the other, you do not want to input that way. So for instance, let's say you went to Bakersfield College, you decided to stop going to Bakersfield College, you started going to Taft College, and you transferred your information from Bakersfield College over to Taft. You still need to look at that BC transcript, put in that you went to Bakersfield College, and enter in all the courses on BC that you took. They should not be listed under Taft College. If you are returning, so let's say you already filled out an application and you imported that information into a new application, it's going to give you this exclamation point. It wants you to review the information. And the reason for that is because if you're using an old application, you probably have semesters of coursework listed that at the time was in progress, but now you have grades for. You want to make sure that you go in and update that information so that all the grades that you have received are put into the system. The next one you're going to do is your college coursework section. So you're actually going to input your coursework every semester that you have attended school. You're going to start with the term, the year, your academic status. So for the first 30 units at a community college, you are a freshman. After you have achieved 30 units, you change into a sophomore. At a community college, you cannot get into junior or senior standing. So you would just maintain that sophomore standing beyond your 60 units. The next one it's going to ask you is whether these courses are completed or whether they're in progress. The reason for that is most of you are in classes right now for the fall 2021 semester, and many of you are going to take classes for spring 2022. You will need to input the classes that you are taking in the fall of 2021, as well as the classes that you plan on enrolling for spring 2022 in the application. The reason this is important is at CSUB, the Office of Admissions renders admissions decisions based off of this information that you put in the application. So if you leave off your fall 2021 semester and your spring 2022 semester, it could have an impact on whether you are admitted to the campus because perhaps we're not seeing all the information that we should be seeing. The nice feature about this is that in Cal State Apply, when you start typing in the class that you're interested in, that you're taking, they start populating. So for instance, with English, if you type in ENG, it populates all the classes that fit that category at your school. And you will select the one that you took that semester. It'll fill out the course code, it'll fill out the course title, and it'll fill out the credits. All you need to go back and do is choose a subject. Subjects are generic. So for English, you would just choose English. If you took a US history class, you would just choose history. You will fill in the grade, and you'll do this for each semester. So once you've filled out the semester, the first semester, you hit save, and then you'll add the next semester. And you'll do that all the way through until you're done adding your coursework. And if you've attended a different institution, you need to do that for that institution as well. Some things that I want you to be mindful of is if you have taken any AP test or CLEP test, that information needs to be entered into the first semester of your college coursework. So up here, I have the example of taking the Spanish CLEP. So I've entered in the CLEP Spanish. That CLEP is actually named Spanish Language and Culture. I chose the subject of Spanish. I received 9 units for it. And for the grade, you're going to put CR for credit. You want to make sure that you list that information in the first semester that you've attended. Also, if you have taken a course and you failed it, and then you have now repeated it, that information is entered in a little bit different as well. And so that example is down here for Art B11 AB. It was a 3-unit course, and I said that I failed it, but I've also repeated it. So instead of putting in the F, I put in RP for the grade, standing for repeat. And then I added it to the next time that I took it. So down here, I took it in summer of 2019, and I received a B in the course. So if you have repeated the course and you received another grade, the grade that you failed, instead of putting that failing grade, you're going to put in RP for repeat. For the students that have test scores, so that's AP scores, CLEP scores, or IB scores, not only are you putting it in the college coursework section, but you're also entering it in the standardized test section as well. You will enter it in both areas. If you are scheduled to take an exam, but maybe you haven't taken it yet, There is an option for you to say, I haven't taken it already, and when are you planning on taking it? Please note that transcripts are due to our institution by February 11th. So if you are taking exams past then, that could have an impact on your admissions decision because we don't know what the test score is going to be at that time. But you do want to enter it into both sections. I also would like to make note that on almost all pages, there is a link that says Applicant Help Center. If you click on that, there is a transfer guide that tells you how to fill out the college coursework section, as well as how to input your test scores. This is very helpful. If you are having any additional questions about this section, I definitely would recommend that you click on the Applicant Help Center and look at the transfer guide.
I've also shared the link in the chat.
Thank you. So in your quadrant 3 for supporting information, you're going to see, you might see 2 options, you might only see 1. So if you are earning an associate's degree for transfer, there is going to be a section that asks you to put in your campus ID number. So at Taft, I believe there's an A at the beginning of your ID numbers. You wouldn't put in the A, you only put in the numbers. Same thing with like Bakersfield College, they use an @ sign. You wouldn't put in the @ sign, you would only put in the numbers. And then you're going to put in when you anticipate receiving that degree. So maybe you're earning it at the end of the fall semester, so that would be in December of 2021. Or maybe you're earning it at the end of spring 2022, so that's going to be May, June timeframe of 2022. The other section you're going to see is whether you want to fill out for the EOP. So EOP is very similar to EOPS, which is what you guys have at the community college. And as a transfer student, in order to be qualified for EOP at Cal State Bakersfield, you have to be part of the EOPS program at your community college. It does give you the option to say, yes, I will return to complete these particular questions later. I discourage you from doing that only because we find that a lot of students forget to go back and complete it. But this section and this section only is open until January 15th for you to complete. The rest of your application must be submitted by December 15th, but you can complete the EOP questions until January 15th. Part of the EOP application is you must submit references. You'll have to submit 2 references and it'll be in the application. You'll put in their email address and they will get an email saying, requesting that you have asked for a reference. One of your references must be your EOPS counselor or director. And that's because that's what CSUB's EOP program uses to verify that you are part of the EOPS program at your community college. The other one can be a faculty member, perhaps another advisor, something of that nature. The recommendation letters are due by January 31st. However, I did speak to our EOP director and he did recommend that you get everything in by the December 15th deadline so that you're considered within the priority window. So you do have until January, but I would encourage you guys to just make sure it's completed in December. Once you have all 4 of your quadrants completed, each section will be lit up in green. And then you'll see that you have this little red circle up here that lets you know that you're able to submit. You'll click on this to submit the application, and it'll show you all the applications that you are wanting to submit and the total for your fees. So each program that you apply for is a $70 application fee. And to see if you qualify for the fee waiver, you'll select the box that says check my fee waiver status. If you qualify, it'll tell you that you're entitled to 4 fee waivers. So if you're applying to more than 4 institutions, you would have to pay the difference. However, if you're only applying to a couple of them, they qualify within the fee waiver. So then that means that when you go to submit your application, this would turn into 0 and you wouldn't be required to make that payment. Once you go to hit submit, the application wants you to double check a few areas. The first area it wants you to double check is the transcript entry portion. So especially it wants you to see that it's going to calculate here at the top how many units you have as well as your GPA. Make sure that that's showing 60 units and above a 2.0. If it's not, you should go back and take a look at your entries. Make sure that you didn't put any Fs that you repeated and that you put any semesters that you have in progress. So the fall 2021 and the spring 2022. The other section that it's going to have you look at is your general education section. So meaning your golden 4 classes, your oral communication, your written communication, your critical thinking, and your college level math. The system auto-populates those classes, but you should always double check if for whatever reason it chose like a history class for your math, make sure that you go back and change it to your actual math class. You will be able to just acknowledge this page and hit continue. And then it might show you this other one. So if you have said that you're an upper division transfer or you're earning an ADT and you have less than 60 units, it wants you to understand and review that you acknowledge that. Now that could happen if you have classes in progress for spring 2022. The system doesn't recognize your in progress classes. So that might be one reason you get this notification. But make sure that you input all of your coursework through the spring 2022 semester. The other thing that you can get, and that goes back to that financial section that we were talking about, where you input your adjusted gross income, as well as if you collected any income that was untaxed. A lot of times students will put the exact same number into both of those because they're not really quite sure the difference. The system tries to notify you and say, hey, you put those in, you should go and double check that. Once again, you don't have to change it. You can acknowledge it and it'll let you move past it, but those amounts should not be the same. What you collected and you paid taxes on and what the money that you didn't pay taxes on, they're most likely different. There's one error that you can receive that won't allow you to submit your application, and that's the upper division degree error. So when you fill out your extended profile, if you indicated that you're earning an associate's degree for transfer, but then on your college attended section, you put that you're just earning an associate's of arts or an associate's of science, but you didn't indicate that it's an associate's of arts for transfer or an associate's of science for transfer, you're going to get this message because basically it's saying you said in one portion you're getting an associate's degree for transfer and you said in the other portion that you're not. So you will need to go back and correct either your extended profile, meaning, you know what I mean, a mistake and I'm only transferring with 60 units, I'm not getting an associate's degree for transfer. Or if you're really getting an associate's degree for transfer and you just forgot to put it on the college section, you can go back to your college's attended section and update that degree information. But once again, if you receive this error, you will not be able to submit your application until you fix it. So this is our contact information. If you have any inquiries, please email us at transfer@csub.edu. This is also the Transfer Resource Center's phone line. I will say that most of us are working hybridly, and I encourage you to reach out to us via email to get a quicker response at this point. Also, the Transfer Center recently released a new website. There's a lot of useful information on there. I encourage you to take a look at it. There's important dates and deadlines. We talk about our events that are coming up. And it's also how you can book an appointment with one of the transfer staff. This is also the direct link to book an appointment. So right now we have pre-admissions appointments booked. We also have our campus tours that are going to start next week. So if you want to book a campus tour so that you're familiar with the campus, you can do so by this link. And then I believe in about a week or two from now, we'll also have appointments. If you just have a quick question about Cal State Apply and you want to jump in and have that answered, you'll be able to book that kind of appointment as well. We do have a YouTube channel, CSU Bakersfield Transfer Center. I will be uploading this video to that channel so that you can reference back to it. And there's also some other videos on there that you might find useful and informative. And then if you are into social media, we are on Instagram and Facebook, and we recently added a Twitter, and that's CSUB Transfer. We do post about our campus events, about events that the Transfer Resource Center is hosting, and then just any important information that you should know about the campus. So right now I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I'm going to actually stop recording.